What's up, kids? It's Darth Magnus here, and I figured it would be a good opportunity to give you a 3-year review. Wow, I've had this car for 3 years now. I know it feels like yesterday since I got it, but yeah, I want to give you guys kind of my total off the noggin impressions about this car, and that way you guys can know what to expect after owning it for a couple years. So as you guys know, it's a plasma blue pearl, actually plasma blue silica Subaru WRX, not STI, just regular WRX. It comes with a 5-speed manual, flat 2 liter or 2.5 liter. Wow, let me edit that. It uses a flat 4 turbocharged 2.5 liter flat 4, like I mentioned. Has about 265 to the crank. I believe the torque is pretty darn close to that. It's about 260, I think. It's been a while since I read the pamphlet, but either way, it has a symmetrical all-wheel drive from Subaru and all that good stuff. But you guys can always Google those specs. That's not what this video is about. This video is basically about how it is, day to day and all that good stuff. So, in terms of mods, if you guys have followed my channel, they've been pretty mild. Just wheels, tires. Geez, like 4 different wheels have been on this car. Wheels, tires, the mud flaps, the lip, some Swift springs. I rolled the rear fender, and then in terms of performance mods, just the access port. I had the off-the-shelf tune for a while. Then one with a custom tune, and I used that for a couple years, but then it came time to basically sell, or at least get it back to factory specs and start selling it. In terms of mods that are going to stay on the car, pretty much only the taillights that you see there, some LEDs inside of the cabin, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is going completely stock. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior for a sec. I don't think I've ever shown you guys the interior, but here it is. And this is where kind of my long-term review starts. First, you got lots and lots of plastic. That's definitely a drawback. Pretty much everything in the interior is plastic, unfortunately. But hey, at least it's not going to get all torn up. It's not going to fall off like you do with some cloth interiors. So that's one benefit. Plus, it's really easy to clean. You just wipe it off, even though it's pretty dirty right now. I have to detail it for sale. But it's pretty easy to just wipe it all off, and you're good to go. It has 5 seats, of course. 2 in the front, 3 in the back, and this is a 60-40 split rear seat, which is one of the principal reasons why I got it. My old STI did not have folding seats, which was a huge pain in the butt, especially with my dog. So this was a huge step up in terms of just utility and ergonomics, really. All right, so that's the rear seat. And then here's the hatch. Pretty big hatch. I was actually decently surprised. I actually have a little curtain here to protect from the dog hair, and now it's all torn up from over the years. So plenty of room for a couple duffel bags, golf clubs if you're into that boring shit. But yeah, has a little tonneau cover. Pretty nice. And that's basically it in terms of a tour of the car. Now let's take it on the road, and I'll kind of give you my long-term review in terms of how it drives and if you should buy one. All right, kids, here we are setting off in my 2014 Subaru WRX. And you may see a lot of jump cuts in this video just because I didn't script any of this. This is just my honest opinion, and then I'm kind of shooting at you. So there may be some downtime here and there, so I'm going to skip forward. I really hate jump cuts, but I also don't want to bore you guys to death and have a bunch of dead air. So here we are, setting off in the WRX. Now, one of the major benefits that I found compared to my STI is that, which by the way, some of you guys don't know, I used to have an 06 STI. Anybody that's ever driven an STI knows that the gearing on those things is super short. It's geared for autocross, rallying, stuff like that. So they're not built for commuting, being comfortable really. So even going down the street to get some McDonald's, I mean, I'm talking about like 2-3 blocks, I would be shifting just constantly. It would be, God, 30 shifts just to get back and forth. It's pretty much exhausting. So with the 5-speed manual that comes standard with these WRXs, it's far, far, far more comfortable, if that's a word that I can use. It's just, I guess, a little bit more user-friendly. A little bit more sensical in terms of just having a car that you daily. STIs, you can daily them. I did for a while, but they can definitely be a pain in the butt. Also, the ride quality in the WRXs compared to the STI is definitely a little bit more forgiving. As you can see here, I'm going over speed bumps. Nothing too crazy, but there is, of course, a drawback, which is this has a lot more body roll than the STI. A lot more. Now, is it like a sloppy Windstar? No, it's not. Is it as sharp as an STI or some other sports car? No. But it does get close. It is fairly there. Now, once again, back to the 5-speed. It's just super easy to control. Everything goes in nice and smoothly. Clutch control, very soft, very easy to manipulate. It's not a bad car to drive daily at all. You could easily use this on a day-to-day basis with no issues. The STI, it would get on your nerves, especially in stop-and-go traffic. And if you live in Southern California, that's just something you deal with every single day, unless you're one of those lucky bastards that works at home or works down the street. But I don't have that luxury, so I had to row through gears, and eventually I had these longer gears of the 5-speed, which made everything much more comfortable. All right, so in terms of just everyday performance, it's pretty stupid for you to go redline all day, every day. Plus, you're gonna blow up your engine. Subarus are reliable, but you just can't redline them all day, every day. They're gonna pop eventually. So in terms of usable performance, these things are great. They'll get you up to speed in very short amount of time on the freeway. On the streets, you're not lagging behind. It's not like driving a friggin' Prius, which we have one of those in the family, and let me tell you, if you ever want to make your car, I don't care what it is, if you ever want to make your car feel like it has an extra 200 horsepower, drive a Prius for a couple days and then jump back into your car. But anyway, I digress. Getting up to speed is perfectly easy, perfectly manageable with very little amount of throttle input. When you really need to step on it or avoid a collision, stuff like that, it's got that usable power. That is, of course, as long as you stay above 2,500 RPM. Other than that, it's a little on the weak side, but this is, of course, a pretty small displacement engine with a turbocharger. It's not a huge turbocharger, but there is turbo lag. That's just something that we got to deal with, unfortunately, guys. All right, so in terms of an example of everyday useful power, here, I'm gonna miss the light, so see, got it, totally there. I'm safe. If you look online on like Motor Trend or Road and Track, stuff like that, they'll have 0 to 60 figures, which obviously those are in perfect condition with launching and all that stuff. Those aren't real world figures. So much so that this car is actually quicker than my old car in 0 to 60 in terms of test times. But that's not every day. So here, let me show you how fast it is, or how easy it is to get up to freeway speeds. And we're there. Before we were even off the on-ramp, we're already to freeway speeds. So this is not something that's going to get you killed in Pasadena or something like that, where they have those super short on-ramps and off-ramps. While we're on another subject, the brakes. Perfectly fine. 2-pot in the front, 1-pot in the rear. Pretty standard brakes. You really don't need anything more than that. The only time where I was left wanting more is when I was actually going on a canyon run up in Azusa. But other than that, it's perfectly fine. And there's street speeds. Totally usable power. So this is, if you're really crazy about snapping people's necks, it's not. This isn't the type of car for that, guys. It's going to be a commuter that you can use every day. It's going to be something that you can take up to the mountains since it has all-wheel drive, and it has totally perfectly usable power. That's kind of the way that I can paraphrase how this car's engine feels and how you can use it. It's just usable power. Not gonna make you spin out. not gonna break any land speed records, but it's just usable power. It's right there. It's basically like going to the gym 3 times a week. You'll feel totally great. You will be able to move furniture around with ease, but you're not gonna break any lifting records or become some kind of professional fighter. It's just there for your everyday life, and it's of a higher degree than your typical car, which is not a bad thing to have. Now, in terms of how it drives, it's pretty smooth. It's not bad. I'd say it's a little bit more comfortable than a Civic or a Corolla or pretty much any of its other competitors. I would definitely say that. It's a little bit more comfortable. The seats, they're a little on the firm side, especially if you're getting old like me. They're a little firmer than I would like. On the longer road trips, I have needed to get out and stretch a little bit. I'm not to the point where I'm like, Jeremy Clarkson or anything like that. I'm 31 years old, but I could definitely appreciate a little bit more support, or actually at least comfort. In terms of once you're doing a little bit of hooning or what have you, or driving a little bit more spiritedly, Jesus. The seats, they'll hug you more than most seats. It definitely is supportive, especially when things get twisty, but it's nothing like, let's say, an Evo seat, which really grabs you in, but those are even more uncomfortable. So there's a trade-off there. Unfortunately, you can't have everything. Other than that, the steering is pretty direct. It's not super sloshy like, let's say, a Lincoln Town car, but it's definitely not as razor sharp as, let's say, an NA Miata, which is pretty darn quick in terms of steering ratios. This will definitely not leave you for wanting, out on the back roads and stuff like that. It's definitely sharp. It's definitely fun. It's really direct. It's not sloshy at all. I think it's something you'd appreciate. Other than that, a couple other things. It's got, mine actually came with an optional armrest support, which actually extends. It can go backwards right there, or it can extend forwards, which is quite nice. It's very comfortable. And one thing that I really appreciate is that they have the e-brake right here. So while you're driving, you can just use the armrest and then support your hand right there, and it's very comfortable. It's very nice. That's one thing I really appreciated over my STI, which had no armrest, and the e-brake was way down here. So your hand was basically on your lap or what have you. Which, pro tip, do not ever rest your hand on the shifter. That's just gonna pretty much grind away your synchros. Don't do that. Just always hand off unless you're actually shifting gears. Let me kind of gather my thoughts in regards to the last 3 years. I've been averaging about 19 miles per gallon. That's with city and highway. Obviously not great. It's not Prius level, but it's definitely not as bad as like driving a truck around all day. And you know, it's nice on the freeway. I have nothing bad to say about this car at all. I actually love this car. It's so practical and so easy to use that you really can't go wrong with it. I could definitely pick out some far worse cars to daily. And other than that, the sound system is pretty nice. Here, let me. Yeah, the Bluetooth is great for hands-free. Listen to to music, stuff like that. Pretty standard fare, nothing really crazy there. You also have excellent steering wheel controls. You have your volume up, down, seek, forwards and back. I think that's seek anyway. You also have your mode change. You have your cruise control, and then you also have your hands-free to hang up and answer calls, which is awesome. And it also has voice commands, so if you want to say, call yada yada, you can also do that there. Yeah, guys, the best way that I can summarize it for you is if you're looking for a usable, dependable, comfortable, good-looking, performance car that is not going to scare your parents or your loved ones, this is a great option. I can't think of many cars that can do what this car better. It's something that you can take up to the mountains, all-wheel drive. It will get you out of some dodgy areas when you really need some traction. You can take it up to some windy hills, have some fun there on the weekends. You can commute with it. Again, it's not going to get you the best mileage, but that's not really important sometimes. It's basically having that feeling that this car can take you anywhere you want to go and do it in, I think, some pretty decent style. Some people may not agree in terms of the looks. Lots of people say that the Hawkeye is better looking than this car, but it's debatable. I have my days where I'm like, oh, the Hawkeye is actually a little bit better looking than the Stink Eye, as they call these. But it's definitely better looking than the brand new WRXs. I'll definitely tell you that. The Evo eyes, as they call them. This is definitely better looking than that. Plus, you also have the hatchback, which they unfortunately did away with in 2014. That was a really bad move, Subaru. They have the Levorg in Europe, which is basically a WRX, sedan wagon that they refuse to bring here. I have no idea why. It seems like a stupid decision to me, but that's what they're choosing to do. So in terms of having something that you can throw a bunch of gear in the back and take off, or have a bunch of doggies in the back, this is a great option. Plus, the thing is quick. It's not a slow car at all. I've definitely had a couple chance to embarrass some people. I won't name names. Camaro, when that was tuned. But even stock, it still can hold its own against quite a few different cars. So to summarize, this is like your high school best friend. He may not have been an all-star athlete. He may not have gotten all the girls, but he sure is fun, and you can depend on him, because this car is exactly that: fun, dependable, and great to have around. So if you guys are looking to pick one up, definitely I would highly recommend doing so because of the hatchback design. They hold up their value extremely well. compared to the sedans. The sedans, you can find them for about mid-teens, mid to high teens. The hatchbacks, depending on mileage, they're hovering in the 20, yeah, like low 20, mid 20s space. They definitely hold up their value well, even though they're 4 years old at this point. So if you want something that's kind of like an investment, and you want something that you can use every day, and something that's fun, this is a fantastic option. I've never witnessed another car that has been able to check off so many boxes, including the investment box. You can have this for years and it will still retain most of its value, which is something that you just don't see nowadays. So other than that, if you guys have any questions, if you're curious about anything, please comment down below. If you thought my long-term review sucked, as always, let me know. I know I don't have to tell you guys that. Other than that, there are some plans for this car. I will be selling it very soon, as I mentioned. So some lucky person is going to end up with Grace here. That's what I named my beautiful WRX. And I hope that he or she treats her very good, just like I have. As far as what I'm going to get next, that's a big old TBA at the moment, mostly because for the type of car that I'm looking for, they're not widely available, so I don't want to say something and then look like a jackass when I'm not able to get a hold of one. But it is something interesting and something completely different. That I can definitely tell you. It's not going to be very Subaru-like at all. Some people could even say it's the polar opposite. So other than that, guys, stay tuned for some more videos here. I know I suck at uploading, but I'm definitely trying. I just kind of run out of ideas all the time, unfortunately. Plus, I have work and family and all that stuff. So, yeah. So once again, thanks for joining me, guys. Hopefully you like my long-term road review. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
I appreciate you going through this.
All right, no worries, dude.
Guys.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
And good luck to you if he tries to mod
thanks
it and
again,
make it
Mike.
super
Appreciate
fast.
everything.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's a pretty big bummer.
Been there.
Yeah. I'm sure the Scirocco must have been pretty hard to get rid of.
You went to a good home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably
That really does help.
that's best case scenario.
After that, it was a lot of stress. And then I had a company after that.
Well, was it a good company car?
It was a Dodge Caravan at first, when they first came out.